Hey, what's going on? I'm Brandon Bain.
Hey, I'm Dan Foulds, and this is Rubbin' and Grubbin'. Hey, thanks for joining us. Please like Coach's Corner on Facebook and share this Facebook Live post. And by the way, you can also see all of these videos on a YouTube channel called Rubbin' and Grubbin'. And our producer, who does an excellent job with this, Lawrence Bennett, he spices these videos up when he puts them onto the YouTube channel at Rubbin' and Grubbin'. I would like to say thanks to Coach's Corner for hosting us and for all the great community support that John Henderson and the entire Coach's Corner family provides to this Savannah.
Come out and see us.
Come out and see us. So this show is called Rubbin' and Grubbin'. So we're supposed to talk about NASCAR and food. So let's get to the racing. We're going to talk about the Las Vegas race, the good, the bad, and the ugly Vegas edition. So good, big. Talk about what you thought was great about the race.
Man, I tell you what, it was extremely exciting. Obviously, a mile and a half in restrictor plate or super speedway racing is totally different. The restarts and fresh air is king. If you're out front, obviously you're going to haul ass. Excuse me, there's $1 for the swear
$1
bucket.
for the swear bucket.
You're definitely going to haul tail. And track position's everything, man. I mean, clean air matters. Tires mattered a lot. Was a great race, man. Great race from the green flag.
You know what I liked was that it was smooth and it was fast. We sat here right in front of the huge screen TV here, all my friends and I, and we sat here and we enjoyed that race from beginning to end, and it was fast paced. There was a lot of good racing. There was 5 wide racing at that track, which I haven't seen a whole lot of that in my time. I'm a relative newcomer to NASCAR to watching the races. It was spectacular. There's things that went wrong, and I don't really know enough to know what went wrong. So I'm going to say, big, what was the bad?
Ooh, bad. There was a little bit of bad for quite a few guys. I mean, you had Truex out there that made a mistake on pit road, came back down, hit the wall, got it. The little tire rub recovered pretty well for what it was. The guy that dominated both the first and second stage, my guy Chase Elliott, really thought he had that wrapped up. Same thing, had a little trouble, got a rub, blew a tire. End of the day, man, it was
that was it.
That was bad.
So I watched the Fox News does a pretty cool thing. They kind of recap the race, and you can see that video on YouTube. It's about 12 or 15 minutes, and it basically just shows the highlights. So because I was actually drinking adult beverages last Sunday, I decided to watch that recap today, and I caught a remark. It said that the flared fenders now, if you touch the wall, no matter how light, if you touch anything, that fender's on your tire, and then you're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, at mile and a half racetracks, man, that's everything. That body shape is everything. When you get in, it presses it in, gets on your tires. Ride heights are so low. I mean, it causes a rub, and next thing you know, tire's done, and around you go. It's a lot different body style than you see in Xfinity or trucks. You can beat and bang a little bit. You can do some things. These bodies, when you damage this body, it is definitely going to hurt you one way or another.
How about that? Okay. How about the ugly?
Ooh, the ugly. The ugly, I'm going to have to say, was the call made for Ryan Blaney, man. That's a tough position to be in, you know, when you're in first. What do you do? If you pit and nobody else does, you're done. Yep. If you stay out and everybody else pits, you're done.
You're done.
So
it's a no-win situation.
I thinking what Todd Gordon was thinking was it was going to get rowdy. Obviously, the restarts, everybody saw that's where you're going to gain the most track position the fastest. So I was thinking the guys that were up front running with the guys that stayed out, okay, we're going to have another flag, you know, gain 5-6 spots on this restart 5 or 6 spots closer, and hey, we got a shot. Just didn't play out that way for him. So, I mean, you know, people get upset about it, but at the end of the day, man, that's what he gets paid to do is make that call.
That's racing, right?
That's racing, man.
Gotcha. Okay, fans, it's time for the checkered flag for charity. So we're going to say congrats to Joey Logano in the number 22 car for his win. So Ronald McDonald House gets the $22, because that's his number. Thank goodness it wasn't the 88 car. So that money is going to the Ronald McDonald House. We're going to do that every week. Hey fans, listen, thanks for watching, and thanks for being part of this show. We would like for you to be more a part of this. Yes. We've got lots of seats back here, and there are some folks, there's more folks here watching this tonight than there was on week 1, I can tell you. We would love for you to come join us at Coach's on a Wednesday night at 5:30. You'll have some laughs, you'll get to see Amateur Hour, but we do have a good time.
Yeah, definitely come support.
We'd like you to hit the like and the share button, and we'd also like you, if you have a question or a comment, go ahead and put it in the comment section if you're seeing this on Facebook. As I said, this will be on YouTube as well, but you'll be better luck with a comment on Facebook.
Yeah. Come
join us for this live webcast. Okay, so now it's the Cheers To section, and it's Cheers To Ross Chastain. So Ross, cheers to you. Oh, that's good. Let's talk about Ross Chastain, a.k.a. Watermelon Man. He is, by the way, from Alva, Florida.
Yep.
That's down on the Gulf Coast, not too far from where I grew up in Central Florida. And he was the lucky kid that got to step into Ryan Newman's car after Ryan Newman had that horrific crash. By the way, good news for Ryan Newman, out of the hospital.
Yes, out of the hospital. No timetable on return yet, but obviously everybody's praying and ready for him to get back in the car. So I'm sure in due time he'll be back.
Yep, I think he got his melon knocked a little bit, so they're going to make sure that's okay. He said he wants to go back to racing, and we want to see him back racing. And we'll come back to Ryan Newman in a minute. Right now I want to talk about Chastain. So Chastain said, I am so grateful for this opportunity. I want to do well, and the one thing I don't want to do is tear up equipment. And what happened?
Tore up some equipment. If you guys watched last week's, that was one of the keys I said about this ride is if you got a 15th place car, finish 15th, if he can manage this equipment, not tear this equipment up, it is going to open doors. Nobody likes to wreck race cars. They are very expensive. The time that is put in by the engineers and the teams at the shops, on top of the sponsor dollars that go into it, you do not want to wreck equipment, period.
Roger that. Roger that. So going back to Newman, I just want to mention one thing that came up on the race, on the live race on TV. Ryan Newman is a college-educated engineer.
Yeah.
So if anybody ever tries to tell you that NASCAR drivers are a bunch of Neanderthals, well, the answer is actually no. That's not quite the way it is. He's a college-educated engineer, and he witnessed a crash and designed a new bar around the top of the cage in the car, which is called the
Newman bar.
Newman bar.
That was implemented after, obviously, if you've been watching the sport for a while, Keselowski's win at Talladega. Edwards' block got turned, went flying into the fence, barrel rolling. Newman came underneath him and hit him. And that was one of the bars that was not there. So when they added this bar, what it does is protect the top, basically right behind that windshield from that top part of that car coming in, right
by my egg.
Onto your driver, correct.
Gotcha. Well, Ryan, we're glad you designed that bar. We're glad you got a Newman bar named after you. And by the grace of God, we're glad you're okay. And we look forward to you getting back out on that track very soon. So let's look ahead to California. The Xfinity race is on Saturday, February 29th. It'll be on at 12:30 p.m. right here at Coach's Corner, the center of the universe. We will have that on here. The main event is on Sunday, March 1st. It'll be on 3:30 p.m. right here at Coach's Corner. And if you want to come and rub shoulders with us, we'll be here for that race.
Yes, we will.
So come on over here. Big, break down the length of that next race.
So it's 400 miles. I think the stages are 60, 60, and 80. Should be pretty interesting. A lot similar to what you're going to see last week. Restarts are going to be king. I will say that tires are going to matter a whole lot at this racetrack. It is very abrasive. Tire wear happens very quickly. You are going to see the guys that know how to manage their tires and manage their cars are going to be the ones that are going to be there at the end of this race. I don't think you're going to see quite as crazy restarts as you did at Las Vegas, but you will definitely see some crazy stuff. I mean, this is a big track, multi-groove. Guys are going to be everywhere, running different lines. It is definitely going to be very, very exciting.
All right, well, I'm going to skip ahead one topic. We actually had our first discussion today where I was like, well, I don't think so, and Big said, well, I don't think so. The question was, is this next track a super speedway? And Big said, no. Well, I don't know. I looked at their website today and they say Fontana is a super speedway.
Not to me.
So then the next question was, because this is a technical question that came up the other day. The yellow line on the inside of the track versus a white line. So if there's a yellow line, you cannot go below that line and pass someone else.
Correct.
And if you go below the yellow line on a super speedway and you pass another driver, what happens?
You have to relinquish that position immediately, or you're going to be black flag, which means you saw it happen to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. That means they pass through at pit road speed, and on those tracks, you're done after that. So California being labeled a super speedway, to me, obviously the speeds are high. Everybody knows we're going to run 2+ into a turn. A super speedway, to me, there's only two. That's Daytona and Talladega, period. Speeds are high at 1.5 miles. Atlanta, Texas. These places, you're carrying huge amounts of speed into the turns. So are we going to start labeling all those a super speedway? The length of this, 2 miles, maybe is why it's called a super speedway. But to me, it is definitely not in my book a super speedway. The racing style is completely different.
Fair enough. So now it's your chance to comment. If you think that I'm wrong, Big's wrong, go ahead and drop a comment. Tell us what you think about that super speedway. Big, who are the top 5 drivers for us to watch for this next race?
All right, so the top 5 for me are definitely going to be a lot of familiar names. It's not hard, obviously. The top guys in the sport are going to be there pretty much almost every week. I'm going to go 18, I'll go 22, I'm going to go the 11 car, I'm going to go the 42, and I'm going to go the 9 car. Those are going to be the 5 guys that you definitely need to watch out for. Chevrolet showed a lot of potential last week at Vegas compared to what they showed the year before. Their long run cars and long run speed were absolutely unbelievable. There wasn't many guys out there that could keep up with them on those long runs.
Right.
I think if you see this go long again and they manage those tires correctly, you are definitely going to see some of those Hendrick Chevrolets up front.
Well, that led me right into.
And by the way, I did pick the winner last show.
You did pick the winner. That was your first pick.
I did say that.
So you just heard something happen. By the way, we do a NASCAR game of skill here every Wednesday night at Coach's Corner, the center of the universe. And when we do our NASCAR game of skill, what is always tossed out is the number, the car. If you're a novice to NASCAR like I am, hey, good news. There's a lot of websites that you can go on to and you can print out the list of the numbers in the car. As a matter of fact, I happened to do that today. So when Big throws out those numbers, because he just knows who's driving what car. I don't. But I've got my little cheat sheet, and I can go back later and say, okay, who's this, who's that? Yeah. I'm starting to know who's who.
Starting to get familiar with it.
Just from talking about it, but I don't know yet. All right. Who's going to win that race?
If I'm putting money on anybody week in and week out, you guys know who it is. It's definitely going to be Kyle Busch.
Is that your heart talking or your head?
That is my head. That is not my heart by no means.
All right.
He's probably got the most talent in the sport. He's probably the most talented guy behind that wheel. He shows it week in and week out. When you look at his wins and what he's done throughout his whole career, it's undeniable. To me, it's just not the type of guy I look for to be my favorite in a car. He's very aggressive, has great skill, but is not humble to me by no means. He is a competitor. Second is last to him, and that's just not my style, man. Not my style.
Okie dokie. All right. So we're going to talk about a new thing that we're going to start here this coming Sunday at Coach's. It's going to be the NASCAR contest. It's going to be totally free to enter. And this is how it's going to work. We're going to take every car number and we're going to put the car number on a slip of paper, fold it up, stick it in a bucket. We've got a lot of these buckets around here. You come here, you're here to see the race with us. You come in for free, you draw a car number out of the bucket. We're going to draw those at 3 p.m. this coming Sunday. Then we're going to have a race. Hopefully we'll have enough people to pull every number out of the bucket. Now, if you're at a table with 6 folks, every person at the table gets a number. At the end of the race, the person who has the winning car's number gets $50 in coach's bucks. Hey, that's not a bad deal.
No.
Second place gets $30 and third place gets $20. You do have to have a winner. So if we only have, say we only have 20 people draw and nobody draws the winner, we're just going to carry that forward to the next week. So we hope you'll come and join us for this. This is something that John has decided to throw into the mix to make this a more appealing thing.
Yeah, thank you to John for that.
Thank you to John for that. Listen, we're having a good time with this. We want you to come and join us and have a good time too. Now, it's time for viewer questions. And we do love it when viewers interact with us. So we got a couple of viewer questions.
All right.
So Jeannie F says, how would an old school driver do in today's equipment? You're up.
I would definitely say, I would think a lot of the guys that drove old school would definitely get a handle on it. It would definitely take time. The technology that is put into these cars today is completely different than what it was back then. Not saying the skill is always going to be there, obviously, but the technology and the way these cars are set up and the way these cars handle are night and day compared to what it was in early 90s, late 80s, early 80s, so on and so forth. I mean, these cars are, the amount of R&D that goes into these cars is absolutely insane.
But
absolutely
do they go any faster?
I would like to say some tracks, yeah, I would like to say. Obviously, some of these tracks we raced today weren't there
right
back in some of these guys' prime. Obviously, we all know before restrictor plates, Bill Elliott, Paul Teo, man. I mean, 212 something miles an hour in what he drove and 208 at Daytona. I mean, come on, dude. That's average lap speed. You're never going to see that now, obviously. But I will say, I think average lap on a lot of tracks of what you run and what you maintain for the whole race is a lot faster than what it was.
Okay. So I had the opportunity to sit standby with a helicopter at Darlington back in, I want to say 2005, when they put the lights up. And they had a little PR event, and they had some of the old school drivers come out. And I remember asking a question of one of the officials, because they were only letting one car out on the track at once. And I said, why don't you let more than one car at once? And this guy goes, are you crazy? If I put two cars out there, they'll race. But I looked in the back of one of those cars, and it had a velour back seat. Like, it was a stock car, and that was probably from the 80s. I want to say that was an 80s car that still had a back seat in it. All right, the next viewer question. This is from Bart. Do dirt track drivers have an edge in NASCAR racing?
Back in the day, I would definitely say 9 times out of 10, that's where you're gonna wet your feet. That's where the roots are coming from, is a lot of dirt track. Not everybody's made it to NASCAR from dirt. A lot of guys drive asphalt, whether it be bandoleros, whether it be go-karts, whether it be whatever. A lot of guys drive asphalt. Today's sport, as we've hinted to it in a couple other episodes, simulation racing is key.
Clean and air conditioned.
The technology these teams have now to put a chassis on something and it emulates every single bump, crack, pebble that is on a racetrack, and they put that information into a simulator, and you get in and you drive that for hours over and over and over. Yeah, you're not in the car, but you are definitely learning what you need to do and what points you need to hit to maintain speed. So,
very good.
I would say definitely dirt track racing, man, is definitely how 9 out of 10 guys are going to get in it. I don't know if that's going to evolve now that the sport evolves, but I would definitely think it definitely plays a part in your driving style and how you like to drive, how your car needs to be set up.
What are the little cars called that have the big barn doors up on the top?
Oh, so well, Silver Crowns, sprint cars, both of them have that wing style.
Okay.
Obviously, Kyle Larson comes to mind when you talk about that, and nowadays. It's exciting to watch, man. If you've never gone out and seen that style of racing,
they go around sideways.
It's slipping and sliding the whole time, and it is no joke, man. I mean, they get it. It is definitely neat to see. I used to go down to Carbondale, Illinois, where they have a huge one at DeCoin Raceway, and it's a state fair and a huge dirt race, man. And if you've never been down there to see that, if you're in that area, I recommend highly to go. I still have family that goes. I've only been a couple times. I'm definitely trying to make it back down there. But it's exciting, man. Dirt track racing is exciting. And with that being said, we also have dirt track racing here in Savannah, man. Oglethorpe
Speedway.
You know, if you're out looking for something to do with the kids on Friday night, definitely go check it out, man. It's cheap to get in. It's great entertainment. Great to go and see, man. Support your local dirt tracks, man.
As it turns out, there's a fellow named Rod who's associated with ESPN, and he has called me a couple times about us doing a show, and I think they want to incorporate something on the radio with you and me and talking about local racing.
Awesome, man.
And I said, hey, we'd love to do
blast,
that.
Man.
They're going to only pay as much as we get paid here to do this.
Yeah,
but hey, it's fun. You know, that's good.
Fun. That's it.
Okay, last question from Brian. Who do we love to hate and why?
Well, as I alluded to earlier, my guy I love to hate is Kyle Busch. Has the most talent on that racetrack, I promise you that. The kid, the guy is extremely hungry. Like I said, he's a competitor. I grew up playing sports my whole life. Second obviously sucks. Nobody likes to finish second, but it happens. And I think the biggest thing that he could do is take second as a learning curve, which I think as he's gotten older in his career, he has learned to do that better. But he is still that guy that wants to go out and win every single time those tires touch that track. And a lot of times he does, man. It's not my style driver. It's nothing against him, nothing personal. It's just I like the guy that finishes second just as good as when he wins a race, man. That's my style guy. So it's just, you know, difference in opinion, difference in taste. That's all it is, man. But I
don't know enough about it to dislike anybody. I remember that I used to not so much like Tony Stewart, but he's not racing anymore. But,
right.
But yeah. So by the way, this is a live presentation coming to you from Coach's Corner. You may hear some background conversation, and we really can't say anything about that because those are the owners over there talking.
Sorry, man.
Oh, you're good.
This is their store, so hey, it's all good. And we'll get them on camera here shortly. So, speaking of old school, so as I've been doing this project, I have been wanting to learn more about this, about NASCAR and what goes on, and I've looked at a lot of YouTube videos, and I'm going to send a plug out now, because I'm going to invite this young man, he's about 30 years old, to come down and be on our show before it's all over. So his name on YouTube is it's Slap Shoes, and the L is a 1 and the O is a 0. Slap Shoes, he's got a YouTube video channel. This kid makes spectacular, historic videos. I think he was born in 90, and he like Brandon, he started going to tracks when he was a little kid. He's he makes entertaining, great videos. So if you're interested in Slap Shoe or in NASCAR history, check out the videos from Slap Shoes, and I'm going to reach out to him with a video right here, and I'm going to say, dude, will you come and help us run 3 wide? I'm going to get that guy on the show. All right, let's talk 3 wide. You know, we like to have a guest on the show, and you saw a lovely young woman last week, Miss Caitlin, who brought us the grub last week. So we're going to have her come up here and have her sit down, and we're going to ask her a couple of questions. You may have heard that NASCAR has taken a hit in popularity in the year, so we're going to start working on that, especially here at Coaches. So Miss Caitlin, if you would, I see you've got the grub. I'm going to move out some place there. You can set the grub right there. We'll get to the grub in just a minute. Then I'm going to ask you to go around there, and we're going to run 3 wide. You just go ahead and sit right down in the middle.
All right.
So again, fans, this is Caitlin. Hi, Caitlin. Thank you for being here. What is your favorite thing about NASCAR?
My favorite thing would probably be the fan base. Everybody's so dedicated, and they really love it.
Got to speak up because that microphone's way over there. The fan base.
And how much they really love it. Everyone's really dedicated to it. It's a great show, a great sport to watch, and it's pretty much all I know.
What's your least favorite thing? What's your least favorite thing about NASCAR?
It just goes round and round.
Yeah, when I had to cover, I can't believe I'm saying this, I had to cover a race with Care Force out of Columbia, South Carolina at Darlington, and I had a retired Air Force lieutenant colonel, so I was pulling duty and he was pulling duty because, by the way, anytime there's a car going around a track, there does have to be a medical evacuation helicopter there, anytime. And I had this lieutenant colonel on duty, and I relieved him one evening, and he goes, NASCAR, non-athletic sport centered around rednecks. And I was like, oh, God, you're crushing me, dude. Plus,
Yeah,
we're getting paid to be here.
Hurtful.
Hurtful. Yeah. So the only thing I could say to that is, I think the more you put into it, the more interested you get in it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just the cars going around and around in circles. The
Right.
more you know about it, you start to recognize things that are happening with the cars, things that the decisions that people are making.
Right, the engineering and technology that goes into this, man. I mean, you got to figure these guys in the summertime sit in this car, not only with the fire suit, the fire retardant underlayers, and the car temperature is 155. These guys are losing 6 to 9 pounds in 3.5 hours. And if you're not an athlete to go and pull the G-force they pull, lose the weight they lose, and get out of the car and smile for a camera and drink a Gatorade, come on, dude. I mean, come on.
Come on, dude. All right, Caitlin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for running 3 wide with us. Okay, this is the grubbing segment. It's now time for a little grubbing.
Yes.
So last week we had some coaches' wings. This week,
All right, so this week we got California chicken tacos. I'm gonna fix Dan up a taco real quick. So
happy day.
We'll definitely put the recipe up on our YouTube channel or on our Facebook page in a comment section to where you guys can get the recipe. It's pretty simple. Man, I tell you what, from what I hear, they're pretty fantastic. We are definitely gonna get this thing loaded up for Dan, man, and let him take a bite, and he's gonna tell you all about it.
All of them. And I'm going to bring it back over
Oh yeah,
here.
bring it over there so we can get some eyes on it, man. So very simple. I mean, we got some pico, we got some
Folks,
avocado.
I know you can't smell.
We got some queso, man. We're gonna hit it up. We're gonna squeeze a little bit of lime juice on that thing.
I know you can't smell through the camera, but I'm
Little
going to tell you,
lime
if you were
juice
sitting
on
here
there,
right now,
man.
you'd be drooling. You
All
would
right,
be
Dan.
so happy.
There you go, man. Tell me
Lord.
what you're tasting.
Lord have mercy. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, hope you enjoy, man.
Oh. Oh my golly.
Yeah. So every week, like I said, we'll bounce back. Next week, we're going to showcase some more coaches' food. The week after that, obviously, we go to my home track, Atlanta. And I'm telling you now, Atlanta, this show is going to be live action, man. You guys, please tune in next week. Tune in from here on out and watch us, man, at Rubbin' and Grubbin', man. Please do.
And come down and join us. Hey, it's time for our last lap recap of the show. So what did? We talked about racing, we talked about food, we talked about music, and we talked about fun. Huge thank you to you, the fans.
Yes, thank you.
Who are watching this video. Please like Coach's Corners page. Please share the video and join us live next week as we webcast right here live at Coach's Corner. And by the way, did I mention that Lawrence Bennett is our producer? Ladies and gentlemen, good night.